Hello and welcome to the Starfall Collective Season 2, King of the Cloudy Sea, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure. I'm Matthew Talamini, your Dungeon Master. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. With me are some of my old college buddies, Sir Robert Burbridge playing Weatherin, an elven paladin of Oberon. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hey, I'm Sir Robert Burbridge playing Weatherin, an elven paladin of Oberon, and you can find stuff at thefarce.net.
Coming to you live from WKBB downtown.
That's right, get ready.
Whoa.
David Farrell
That's good audio.
playing Karauk or Gravy, a lizardfolk ranger. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your humor blog.
Hi, I'm David.
It's not humorous.
I got a new chair today. I'm really excited about it.
Is it comfortable?
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Can you show it to us, or is it
No,
in a different room?
it's mine.
Secret chair.
Secret chair.
Get off my lawn.
Dwight Knoll playing Fennetir, an elven cleric of Pon. Say hi to people who know who you are and tell them where on the internet you hide from them.
I am currently hiding from you on all of the internet. Well, not the bad parts, just the happy parts of the internet.
Joshua Suich playing Malmer, an elven warlock of Chernobog. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hi, I'm Josh. You can find my stuff on Reddit under JSUICH, as well as Facebook and Instagram. You can find my interview on the Bigfoot Society podcast. And you can find my greatest creations in the archives of Club Penguin. I'm just kidding. I never played Club Penguin.
What is that?
Don't even know what you're talking about.
Stay
He's actually
blissfully
a huge
ignorant, gentlemen.
Club Penguin fan.
All of you just got banned for that.
For not knowing what Club Penguin is?
Banned from Club Penguin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're
Yeah,
banned.
It's like Fight Club, except the penguins
Very
fight?
much not like Fight Club. And yet very much like Fight
Is
Club.
it like? No, never mind.
I have to say I remain emotionally unaffected by this news. We pick up the story 2 or 3 miles east of Three Ways, which is the westernmost city of the great Elven Empire and the only port on the Cloudy Sea, as far as you know. A strange coalition of many races sits encamped here. Aarakocra, halflings, tabaxi, and strangest of all, lizard folk, whose long racial tradition has been, up to this point, characterized by extreme isolationism, bordering on xenophobia. Karauk, would you say that it borders on xenophobia, or it just is straight up normal xenophobia?
It's probably, yeah, straight up xenophobia.
Karauk, their presence in this coalition, although it's only a few, we've seen evidence of some of the confusion that caused you, and I'm sure your conversation about politics and international diplomacy with Ate, who's the warden of the Northern Marches and leader of the Lizard Folk contingent, drags on long into the night while you're camping. I'm sure you still feel unsettled about the situation, but after your discussion with the various economic and military pressures and among other recent events back home, having been explained to you by Ete, you're able to put together a picture of things that renders this coalition not entirely irrational. After all, you yourself were sent to gather information from another race and even form a kind of friendship, if not an alliance, with Nebulaster, the cloud giant. Perhaps even more than you've been aware so far, the lizard folk have been turning outward. Eventually, Ete cuts off this conversation and begins asking you about Palor and your lycanthropy. Tell me, when you gave your report to her earlier, did you convey Palor's assertion that what he did to you was meant as a gift to the lizard folk?
Um, It's a good question.
What did you report along those lines?
I think his I think he's very adamant that Paylor is not trustworthy. That Paylor presents things in one way, but does things in another. And particularly his, and I would think this would resonate with Ate and the other lizards as well, that Paylor came to, the fact that Paylor came to Tashash in the form of a lizard, that which Tashash understood to be an actual lizard. And so he thought he was being called over the side of the boat. That this was a summons by his kin, but it turned out not to be. It turned out that that the summons was not from lizard kin. Like that, in his mind, and I think in the minds of lizards in general, would be seen as a deep betrayal, that you do not a usurpation of the blood of lizards, to claim kinship with them that is not actually had, or to portray that. That's like infiltration into lizard society, which they are very, very, they would be very, very wary of. Given that, he would emphasize that in his message, and he would also emphasize the fact that he did not accept, that he said, he did not agree to accept the gift, the gift of lycanthropy, and he did not swear
Get rid of it for you.
to he did not swear himself into the service of Paylor, but Paylor took him into his, Paylor put him under that yoke, put him under that bond anyway, and put the the gift, this so-called gift was not given freely, that it was forced on him, and the service of Paylor was not was forced on him as well, and so he would interpret that as he would interpret that practically as Paylor attempting to enslave them, which, as far as the kind of reinforces in his mind, and I think in the minds of lizards, just further serves to reinforce their general distrust of gods and so-called deities and the like.
Do you tell her about the subsequent conflict with the Palorites,
Which one?
where one of them wanted to try and kill you?
Oh, with the priest?
With the paladin known as
Yeah.
Priapus.
Well, I already showed her the head.
Right.
Yeah. So he
You
tells her
explain a
all
little-
about that,
Okay.
and he also makes the point. He would also emphasize the point that Priapus came after him and attacked first. That he did not instigate this. He did not instigate this. The encounter there.
She quizzes you about these things. She's very interested. She's very interested in your new powers. But she knows, although she's heard of lycanthropy, you're all very well traveled. You know that lycanthropy is a thing, but she doesn't understand very much about it. So what she does that night before bed is she asks you if you would submit to being examined by the Tabaxi wizard, Fortenier.
Yeah, he would. I mean, if she requested, he would. Another thing he would, another point he would make in that, regarding the lycanthropy, is his understanding that Pelor killed him, which would certainly be another further reason for his distrust of Pelor.
Okay. Give me a
he would
straight up
have
wisdom check.
A what?
Straight up wisdom check, please.
Wisdom check. That is a 13.
Okay. You are led into the tent of this tabaxi. Think Aladdin. Think Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, or the Arabian Nights. When you imagine this tent, somebody has to carry all these carpets and ornate braziers with like weird incense in them and apparatus. And you hope it's not the lizard folk, but maybe the tabaxi are carrying all this tabaxi wizard stuff. But he is looking much like a leopard, having sort of leopardish spots and coloration, except he's gone very white, very gray. There's only a little yellow of the original leopard yellow left in this tabaxi's hair. Tabaxi are, of course, very cat-shaped, although they would ask, why are elves so monkey-shaped, if you were to challenge them on it. The lizards would probably ask the same. Why do elves look like monkeys so much? Rather than looking like lizards, like a sensible race would. But after feeding you a bitter potion, muttering an incantation over you, the tabaxi meditates for a moment and then sends you away and confers in private with Ate. Fennetir.
Howdy.
That night, you dream of Pan.
Oh, Pawn. How's it going, Pawn?
He has got a shiny cardboard party hat on. Conical.
Nice.
He hands you a blower whistle thing. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about? A party blower.
Yep.
And a very colorful drink. He
Nice.
says, dude.
If he says dude again, I'm just gonna blow the party blower the entire time he says it.
He doesn't want to risk that.
He doesn't know. I'm just telling you.
Dude. You're like the best priest I've had in such a long time.
Oh, stop it. You're gonna make my head get too big.
What a bro.
Yeah.
Guys, this is a bro. He turns to his side, addressing a non-existent crowd in the sort of generic foresty dream setting, and the crowd suddenly appears for him to look at.
No,
This
screw
guy,
these
right?
people.
This guy is a total bro.
But like a good bro.
Yeah, like not a bad, like a, like, I'm just saying good job.
Thanks. What's your plan for this book?
Oh, well, you use it.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were gonna text me.
Oh no, well, no. Like what? Well, who am I going to give it to? Like the Goose Knights? No.
I was thinking maybe you could use a little extra wisdom.
Oh, no, I don't. Wouldn't work on me, buddy. But
Okay.
listen, I need to get some info into your head. Okay.
Gotcha. What is it?
I'm gonna like I don't know if you noticed, but we like to use sort of these metaphors.
Metaphors.
Like in prophecies and stuff. It's
They're
all
like
mysterious.
similes, but they don't use like or as.
Right. So this metaphor, it's like the cloudy sea is like a game of checkers.
Okay.
Have checkers.
I missed part of that. I just heard Eckers.
Have you heard of checkers?
Possibly.
Yes, you have heard of checkers.
I have heard of checkers. I call it droughts and nights. No, that's tic-tac-toe. Never mind. I call it checkers.
Noughts and crosses.
Yeah, noughts and crosses.
Well, you know how checkers is the metaphor.
Okay.
I
Not
want you
chess.
to understand that I'm not talking about actual. I've had a few, so like, tell me
Hey,
if
I
I
just had
stop
this
making
colorful drink.
sense. But this is not real checkers.
Gotcha. Metaphor. I understand.
Metaphor, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how in checkers,
I think
you get a
maybe
piece.
one of the reasons I'm one of your best priests is that I don't drink to excess.
Are you sure? Because I remember a few times.
I don't remember drinking to excess.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll put that down somewhere. Okay, but like, you get a piece all the way to the end of the board,
And it turns into a queen.
and
Oh no,
Wait,
it turns
is it a
into
queen?
a king.
Oh no, it's a king. It's a king. I mean, I guess you could make it a queen if you like. That's fine.
I'm mixing my metaphors.
The king, gets more powerful.
He
Right?
can move backwards.
Yeah, it can jump in a different way.
hmm
It becomes more valuable.
So I'm your
The
king now.
gods are in a 5-way checkers game.
So like Chinese checkers.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, there's no kings in that, so it wouldn't work.
Oh, okay. But it's 5-way. I don't know how that works, but listen,
Pentagonal
I
checkers.
just kinged you.
Nice.
So I didn't start with a lot of pieces on the board compared
you
to
got a
some of these
king.
other players, but now I've got a king.
Who do you
So
want me to jump over next?
You're important to me. Now listen, Oberon has
Uh-huh.
not made a king yet.
Yeah,
I
we
think,
took out one of his guys.
wait, you took out one of Oberon's guys?
Maybe not. Who'd we take out? Paylor. I get those two mixed up. I don't know why.
Oh, they're both pretty straight,
Yeah,
pretty brutish, you know.
yeah.
I mean, Paylor can be okay. He's got a sort of anger issues, I think. He needs to work out. I'd be a little happier if he would chill a bit more, but uh I think I would know if Oberon, because we're kind of same side, good guy,
Gotcha.
gods. Like I would probably know if he'd made a king, and he has not.
Okay.
He
You
was
still
big.
want Karen and no, you want Baldrag to join
Oh no,
our side.
I'll tell you, Paylor and Chernabog,
Chernabog.
they jumped a bunch of each other's pawns recently,
Gotcha.
and Chernabog is out of the
See,
game.
there are pawns. I knew it.
You've been on the other side of the world
Uh-huh.
for a little while. Well, the other side of the cloudy sea. You've been away for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Chernabog is out.
Out.
He lost the game. I
Oh.
don't know whether he had time to make a king or not. I don't know if I wish that he had. If he did, that's still on the board somewhere.
Mm.
But I
Keep
couldn't
an
tell
eye
you
out for
about
that.
the pawns. He might have some pawn. He was sneaky. Could have hid some pawns somewhere.
And he's on his own side.
Karen has a lot of pawns too. I wouldn't know if she has any kings. If she does, probably pop up pretty unexpectedly.
Okay.
And
Keep an eye
Paylor,
out. I don't know if you
may-
know this, but I have a 19 passive perception. What does Pawn think of that?
you're very perceptive. Paylor made a king, but it kind of jumped itself off the board.
Oh no, it's still here. I think. Are you talking about the Were Quetzalcoatl
Yeah.
lizard? He helped me get the book, man.
Oh, I mean,
He's
I
not
know,
really part of Paylor's team, though.
we're kind of, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's that king is still around, but is it Paylor's?
Seems to be helping me out.
Well,
We're friends. We're buddies.
I hope it stays that way because then
Yeah,
it's kind of like
I don't
I've
know
got
if he
two
really.
kings.
No, I wouldn't say you had a king.
Hmm.
He's still around though. He's heading to Aarakocra.
Hmm.
Maybe.
That'd be good.
I mean, who knows what he's doing? You know how that
They're
is.
Oberon people. So what you should do is
Mhm.
get back out there.
Okay, use the book.
Use the book.
Hop over
I
some
mean,
pieces.
I don't know whether you actually read it or not. It's pretty powerful either way, but you can read it like if you want.
Okay.
But listen, Karen a little while ago suddenly withdrew from some of her spots that I've
Okay.
been
Sounds like a jump.
clandestinely peeking, spying on, and that makes it seem like there's some kind of final battle coming up.
Okay.
Like she is massing forces for something big.
Is the big squid on her side?
On Karen's side,
Yeah.
oh, that's Paylor's. That's
Oh,
like
Paylor.
Paylor's dog, man. He
Ah.
trains those like hunting hounds.
Not
Those
just the squids, the
things.
the white one, the white squid.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a
Paylor.
lot of
all day.
those.
There's a not too many are well trained. Most of them are kind of wild out there. He likes them wild, but he also likes to have some that are specially trained and that he can send out to do stuff.
Gotcha.
They're scary. I don't know
Yeah.
whether they should count as kings. I think they're pawns.
Mm. They're pretty bulky pawns.
But Enma might have been a king.
That's the one I was talking about. Enma.
Enma, though, nobody knows where Enma is. Gone into hiding, maybe. Probably wounded in the battle.
Uh-huh.
Licking its wounds.
I
think.
got off that boat because you told me about the rocks, the 3 rocks.
Yeah.
Little rock. Took me a while to get that metaphor.
Yeah, well, this metaphor, it's a pretty good one, right? Maybe I should have used this one.
It probably would
back
have
then.
worked better for me.
Well, I don't know. But listen,
Uh-huh.
and suddenly there's like a chalkboard
Nice.
behind Pond.
Does he have like a science jacket on? What
He
do they
has a
call those?
science
Lab
jacket,
coat.
and he has like an academic mortarboard on
Uh-huh.
his head and like a pointer. And he's like pointing to like chalk lines on the board. And he
Doesn't
says,
make any sense.
probably they don't make any sense. No, it's basically like an up arrow and a down arrow. And it's like he says, probably Karen thinks that Palor has been weakened
Gotcha.
by this battle, and it's time to move.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where she's going to move? Whether against the Aarakocra to the south
Mm-hmm.
or against the giants to the north.
Gotcha.
But it seems like now is the time when she's going to push a big offensive.
Gotcha. Well, I was
And I
planning
think-
on heading to Aarakocra.
And I think Oberon thinks the same thing, which is why this little army that you're with. Oberon is massing forces. Karen is massing forces. I want you with my forces with the Oberon forces.
Oberonians.
The Oberonians. You get it?
Gotcha.
So it's a coalition of Aarakocra and Tabaxi and halflings and elves and lizard people and Pawnites.
Nice. I'll be there. I love it when a
Okay.
plan comes together.
Yeah, so this is it. This is like, we need all our good guys like in the game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Okay, help the good guys, frustrate the bad guys. Whatever strategy Oberon comes up with, like we got to try and get Palor to follow it if we can, because he's
Gotcha.
still pretty strong, but he probably won't. And if Oberon could king somebody, finally, somebody,
That'd be
anybody,
good. I'll
that'd be great.
work to bring that about.
Sweet dude, good talk. Now drink this.
Another one. Ooh, hope I remember what happened.
And you continue partying throughout the night as you usually do. This large swath of what is it called when the author does what I just did?
Exposition.
Exposition accomplished.
Hope I didn't interrupt too much.
It's plot exposition, dude. It's got to go somewhere.
It has to go somewhere. In the morning,
Okay.
you awake among the coalition forces under the banner of Yellow Eyes.
Yellow eyes.
It is a little bit strange, although not so strange, being that you were on a ship and under authority for so long. But after your adventures, to be back in a situation where you're not as much in control of your own movements. Although, of course, Fennetir, you could come and go as you please. But Gravy, sort of back in his old ranger role, a little bit less of a wild cannon hero type than he used to be. I don't know if lizard people are human enough to feel maybe a little bit diminished in that role. But you wake up and the other lizard folk are doing maybe lizard folk rangers probably have some sort of calisthenics they do in the morning. Probably not, maybe. They just
No.
eat dead fish or something.
Forage, eat, do work.
Probably preparing. Probably,
Yeah.
probably this is a great opportunity for you and your ranger friends to share tips on world events. Probably you're making some of those poison darts and things.
Yep.
The camp does not get moving until after the lizard folk are ready, like a couple hours before the tabaxi are ready to go.
Yeah.
What did tabaxi look like?
They are cat people.
Cat people.
I wanted to give them a French accent, but I accidentally did the cat people accent from the Elder Scrolls when I voiced the Tabaxi wizard in the last episode, and now I don't know if I can go back. It might be Bethesda.
I believe our
might have just overridden my brain.
I believe our massive fan base will probably riot in the streets if you go back.
If I change the accent,
we're going to be responsible for the trash can that gets turned over.
If anything happens in the next few days, like rioting in the streets, it's this.
How does it feel to be a dustbin in Shaftesbury? Sorry. I don't.
Okay, you've gotten even with us for making a completely obtuse reference that we have no emotional response to.
You should Google the words that I said. If unless anybody has things to do, the coalition proceeds into three ways, and you see the town.
Did I have any further interaction with Ate?
Not so far. She has been conferring with the other leaders. If you want, there's nothing preventing you from speaking with her if you wish.
Did she give me any specific instructions?
I mean, I think yesterday she did tell you to stay with them.
Right. Okay.
Do lizard people know gossip?
Hmm?
Is there such a thing as lizard folk gossip?
There is information.
Okay.
Finnekier is just constantly reading. If we're walking, he's walking and reading. If he's just reading.
So have you yesterday evening you attuned to the book?
Yep.
Okay, and you are currently taking the time to read it.
Yep.
Nice.
I think that Karak would go back to Ate, and to reiterate his concerns about Palor. If he did not get a conclusive sense from her that she shared his utter opposition to lizard folk association with Palor.
These matters are deep and require the attention. There's like a lizard folk council of some kind, the highest
shaman.
Governing body.
Yeah, the shaman caste.
These matters require the consideration of the shamans, and you and I are not qualified to decide. Thank you. When this is over, We shall go
Yes.
before our people's shamans and decide about this Palor.
But what do you mean to do in the meantime?
Young Karaok, I intend to keep you alive if possible.
I have died once. Death is not my greatest concern. My concern is for my people.
In that we are
All throughout our history, the gods have tormented us. They have played us like seeds in a bowl, which they cast about however they please. They have no regard for the small things of the world. You know this. I know this. It is what the shamans tell us. And as I have told you, this Palor, he is no different. We must be on our guard against him. For our people. This is how we survive. It is how we have always survived.
your point of view will be considered appropriately
By the shamans.
by the shamans
Yes.
in due time and with due procedure.
Yes. And in the meantime.
And in the meantime, stay with me.
And in the meantime, our policies regarding these matters should not change from what our people have held to.
I am glad to see such fiery political engagement. Be sure to vote in November. Or whatever the lizard folk equivalent of that same sentiment is. She appreciates your civic concern and engagement.
It
And
is
tells you
not
to do your
up to
job.
me. It is not up to me to decide, nor you. It is up to us to uphold what has been established.
Let it be so.
Indeed, let it be so.
I have my orders, Karaok. And she uses your full entire long name, not just Karaok.
Right.
Yes.
And I have my orders. Wait, I lost track of the beginning of that sentence by the end. I have my orders, Karaok, and she uses your full name.
Yes.
And you have yours. See to them.
Yes. I have.
The coalition reaches three ways, and it is doesn't stir up too much of a excitement in the town any more than a normal caravan would. It's very strange to see tabaxi here. Not quite as strange to see halflings, but so many halflings. It's definitely the talk of the town for the day, but it's not as though it's a crisis or as though it's a major celebration. Business as usual continues. You head west along the road, passing the Palorite compound on your right, passing some stables on your right, where there is a caravan currently being unloaded. And then you come to a place where you can hear the sea off to your right, the waves crashing, and you can see to your left a little bit of the eerie white fog of the cloudy sea between the buildings. There are inns to your left as you continue west, and some big warehouses to your right. As you continue, the houses get richer and richer, wealthier and wealthier, until it's the houses of sea captains and business magnates and high-ranking priests. You come eventually to the tall, elegant marble columns of the Temple of Palor, which across from the square from the Temple of Palor, at the very, very western tip of Three Ways, is the harbor master's. What did I call it? The Hall of the Harbor Master. It's a
the harbor master.
a narrow rectangular building. Looks like it was sort of originally planned for utilitarian purposes, but has become more and more legal and ceremonial as the town has grown and its role in elven society has changed. They have done many elegant facades have been attached to it, and new windows made skillfully, like architecture. So it looks like a Gothic warehouse, something like that. Made out of granite, a lower, sturdier stone, but carved over time more and more intricately and delicately and with more skill. Going into the Harbor Master's Hall, you find that there are big windows that let in a lot of light, and there are lots of there's rows of desks where elven scribes can be seen, always at least two or three, continually writing documents, maybe copying out contracts or memoranda, meeting minutes. The whole sort of legal side of life in Three Ways passes through the Harbor Master's Hall at one point or another. If you go all the way to the southern end of the hall, you reach Lady Casa's office. This is the harbor master herself. Most of the coalition are waiting in the square outside, in between the harbor master's hall and the Cathedral of Oberon. But you two have been invited in along with the leaders, representing, as you do, players somehow. I mean, actual players in the game, characters. But
I'm a king, yo.
you seem important, and so they bring you with them. It seems that there have been arrangements made between the elves and this so-called Yellow Eyes coalition. The elves are not 100% sure about this. But what's his name? The halfling leader is very
Charles Godwin.
Charles Godwin. He's very eloquent. See, he has a lot of things to say about politics, and he makes compelling arguments to Lady Casa about why it's in the elves' interest to see Karen defeated on the Cloudy Sea, why they can't just have their kraken hunting vessels skimming along the top and leave all the rest of the Cloudy Sea to go to ruin and chaos. That having dark elves, and when the name of the drow is mentioned, there's a response from all the elves in the room. That perhaps in league with the Karenites are dark elves. At this point, having gotten your report, Karauk, what's her name? Your leader.
Ate.
Ate is able to actually, is your report detailed enough that she knows about the dark elves that were aboard the Fujin?
Yeah, I would have told her as much as I knew.
Because that was like a sort of important event in the Fujin's travels.
Yeah.
So it's very strange for the harbor master to learn for the first time of something like terrorist stowaways on one of their very important kraken hunting vessels from the mouth of a lizard folk ranger from far to the west and north. And it seems almost unbelievable, but they are able to find your name and Fenitir's name on the crew roster for the Fujin from when it set out. So your testimony about these dark elves is turns out to be an important turning point in these negotiations. Because if there are dark elves in league with Karenites on the Cloudy Sea, then the Empire does need to respond. And the Palorite faction that does not want to help you, for some reason, who would know why, is overcome by the Oberonian faction that does
I'm
want to
so
help you.
confused. I get those two mixed up, and they're like interacting. I need to keep them separate. Why can't they be on the same team, and then I don't have to keep them straight?
Oberon likes to plan things.
Got it.
Taylor likes to punch things.
Okay.
Or
Is
lift,
Oberon married to Titania?
probably.
Gotcha.
We're retconning all these gods. Okay. So as things stand, I'm sorry to narrate so much and have my characters actually doing so little here. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. You know what? I just got that there is a pun to be made with pawn making metaphors about pawns.
Oh my. Lady Casa is a striking figure. She actually has little bits of levy worked into her dress and some of her hair ornaments, so that as she sits there hearing arguments and dictating things to scribes to copy down, she almost has this underwater look, like her accoutrements are sort of floating around her in the air. It's very, very elegant, and she is very cultured and refined and elven. There's another issue. Somebody wants in on this meeting. Oh no, it's Sach Yama, part owner of the Fujin, who is at the door, who has heard that some of his employees have shown up.
Former employees.
He probably doesn't think that. Do you have anything to say? He's at the door. A messenger, one of the scribes, comes and says, "Psst, psst. Lady, there's one of the captain owners, Mr. Yama, is here about, he owner of the Fujin, and he's heard that some of his sailors are here. He wants in. Should we let him in?" And she looks up.
Death negates all contracts.
Ate
I have no business with him.
Ate looks at you with a look that says, "This may be more serious than I had thought."
She knows this. I explained. She knows. I explained that
She
part of my
does.
story. You know.
She does.
She didn't necessarily think you were fully bought into this.
She's realizing for the first time
How deep
maybe
it
how
goes.
deep it goes. Anything else? Okay.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
says,
sure. Let him
she
in,
says,
I guess.
he ought to have a voice. Let him come in. So he busts in. What's happened to my ship?
Well, last I saw it, it was hanging out at the giant place, and
Nebulaster?
yeah, Nebulaster's purse.
Nebulaster's purse. You're a funny one. And why are you not on board her?
I don't really recall. Do you remember Kara while we left?
You don't remember abandoning ship?
I mean, it was on ground.
What's
Oh,
it
I
called when
remember why.
a Navy person
This
goes
isn't the
away without-
Navy. This isn't the Navy.
That's true. It's not the
Took
Navy.
no. I mean, I did take an oath, but you don't know about that oath.
That's true. You just have a contract with him. It says this is going before the courts. I am not going to
Okay.
pay you for abandoning the ship. Your
Okay, fine. I hold up my levy
salary
stick
is-
and say, "It doesn't bother me."
Wait.
Hey.
Isn't that your other character that has that?
No, it's this character.
Where did you get a big lump of levy?
We found it on a levy island while we were
Yeah, we
flying
dug it out of
around.
one of the islands that we landed on while we
Oh,
were
it was a
on our way
random
to.
encounter.
Yeah,
Dude, you're super rich. He says that that belongs to the Fujin. You're
Nope.
employees of the Fujin, and
you
what-
just were trying to not pay me for being an employee. You can't.
this is going to be.
I have no business with you. The one you know as the Shash is no more.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm with him.
It's hard for me to tell. I don't want to sound.
As a you, I think you meant. I don't. Not sure where he may not be going this way, but I think you mentioned that the lycanthropy changed some of Gravy's features,
It did.
so he might not recognize me.
He is about to say, indeed. I don't want to sound churlish, but these lizard folk, they sort of all look the same to me. Is this the same one? Now, if you did already sort of claim in front of the whole crowd that you are the one that shipped with the Fujin, right?
He said the one you know as Tashash is no more.
So
I have no business with you.
But you did tell them about the Dark Elves, for instance.
Sorry, what?
We narrated like a few minutes
Yeah.
ago that you
Yeah.
told them about the Dark Elves because you were on the Fujin, so you can testify about it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to roll if you want to make the case to this guy that you are not the same lizard folk person who was on board the Fujin. And you're going to have to roll to trick him. And then you're also going to have to roll to get Lady Casa to go along with it.
I don't know that I'm trying to trick anybody.
Okay.
In his mind, he's just stating facts.
In that case, don't use deception. Use persuasion.
All right. That's a 1. I rolled a 2, and my modifier is -1.
I
That's
think
not a
maybe
critical
you
fail.
lost your conviction. Oh
It
no.
probably
Not a
probably
critical
just
fail.
comes out as like nonsense.
I think that I don't know what happened on board the Fujin, but I think this one has gone mad.
I would not dispute that.
Yes, his shipmate says it himself. Listen,
No, I didn't.
Lady Casa, these two should be detained here in 3 ways until the truth about what happened to my vessel can be ascertained.
How about instead we go look for your vessel?
Oh, make a roll. Persuasion.
Persuasion. I asked for the blessing of Pawn as I cast Persuade. Get a little 1d4 added on. 17.
Interesting. You are still under my employ.
Well, so you are paying us for the time? You've gone back and forth on this.
We'll figure it out.
I would prefer to not be under your employ.
I could simply order you to go with this boat.
To Aarakocra?
Fujin. To Air Mountain, yes.
I mean, we were going to do that anyway, so if you order us or not.
Yes.
All I
Yes.
know is this levy is Pawn's.
That's what I'll say. That's what's happening. Yes.
You just...
My sailors returned after having some strange adventures that we'll find out about later when we read the ship's log. I'm sure it'll be entirely explicable. And I ordered them to go and seek their vessel, and I asked Lady Casa if they could tag along on your voyage out into the cloudy sea. Yes, I think that'll be satisfactory.
can I get an advance on my pay then if you're paying for all of this?
No.
Okay.
You'll get your percentage of the lay as everybody else after the voyage is over. But if you wish to borrow some money from me, I'm
No, I think I'm all right.
my sailors. It's kind of a high interest rate.
No, I don't cotton to what's that word?
Usury?
Usury. Usurers.
Sweet. There is there's actually only one vessel like this. This is the Elven Navy's cloud ship. Having so many commercially owned cloud ships out hunting Kraken, the Empire's Navy didn't think it was a good idea not to have any of their own. It mostly sits here in 3 ways. Sometimes it patrols a little ways out, but it never goes very far into the cloudy sea. This will be probably its greatest voyage. It is still a cloud ship. It is equipped with one of those, only one, but it does have one of those ship siege weapons that D&D talks about. I think it's a ballista they put on ships.
Like a big bow and arrow.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll go into the exact accoutrement of the ship later. Maybe, maybe not. Definitely doesn't have cannon. I don't think we have gunpowder in this world yet. Oh, wait. We have flying robots in this world.
I think you've talked about gunpowder, but I could be insane.
I think Josh might have
Not
talked
as crazy as Kara
Well,
up.
yeah, I
though.
mean, there's arcane flight, and there's in some. Well, yeah, there's arcane flight, and there
They're already flying.
are warforged. Yeah.
Right. Well, we know that there are. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll decide about the technology level. So this ship is flying the colors of the Elven Navy. It is very official and ship shape, and maybe a little bit, say, theoretical. They might not know as much about actually going out on the cloudy sea and living there and working there. They sort of maybe just to kind of, they exist to sort of say, hey, this belongs to the elves.
Mm.
But an actual military venture is very exciting to the sailors of the Akagi, the name of
Akagi?
this vessel.
Are all the vessels named after that guy's movies?
Probably. So, unless there are anything that you guys want to do in town before you set off, the coalition begins loading on board the Akagi immediately. Papers are signed, documents are sealed, envelopes and orders are given back and forth. And you depart from the Harbor Master's Hall, proceed southeast to the Cloud Ship docks, where the Akagi waits for you. No other business? You want to buy some more silver dust?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Sweet.
I'm sure. Why not? That seems like a good idea. How much is silver dust?
However
You
much
can have as much as you want.
in the manual.
I'll just avail myself of it then.
I think it's nominated in how much you spent on it.
Right. Yeah, so you can get 25 gold worth of silver powder, etc.
Right. Then I will get 50
And this is definitely available.
gold worth of silver powder.
Whoa. You carry that around with you?
Okay, maybe I'll just get 25. I don't know.
Well, I think, 25 is like one charge of that ceremony spell, right?
Oh, really? 25 gold of.
Then I'll get.
Wow.
Is it
get
not?
50 gold worth of silver powder because there's some weird things out there.
Spells, ceremony.
Or anything else that you might want to buy.
25 is one. Yeah, wow.
So, this is the part where imagine the Japanese RPG town music playing. And you walk out of the building and you're looking down on your characters' little heads, and you can go to like whatever shop you happen to fancy. If you have any items, like if you've picked up any gems or things that you want to trade for gold or...
Can I sell my what's it called? Something gem of
I've got a
laziness
pouch
or
of
something?
gems. He'd probably sell that.
I don't see it. I think D&D Beyond lost it, but I have a gem. Oh, there it is. Ruby of Enfeeblement.
Yeah.
I'll sell that. What do I get?
I cannot.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But okay.
I cannot seem to find what is silver. Is it just silver powder?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it in the. I'm searching for it and
It's a bag of silver powder.
Bag of beans. Bag of devouring.
Wouldn't like 50 gold pieces of silver powder be enormous?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Man, I know there's a chart for this. Why won't Google just show me the chart?
Is it that important? We can just.
Well, what if you want to buy something with that gold? Here we go. I think you could expect 250 gold for it.
Oh wow, that like is a
I'm
bunch.
just gonna make a note.
Bam.
Stuff. I don't know.
Finitier, the life of the aesthetic cleric, is he's suddenly rolling in it. I'd go down to the bar and buy a round for the house.
Yeah, you might also want to replenish. You probably left a lot of alcohol on board the Fujin.
Yeah.
One of the things that you brought with you when you originally embarked on the Fujin was some extra booze to befriend the sailors with.
Yeah, that didn't really work, so I'm not so worried about it.
Are you kidding? It worked pretty well.
I didn't think they liked me. That's
They
why I
liked
left.
you better than you deserved.
What are you saying? Sorry, I'm getting Finitier and that other guy mixed up here for a second. Sorry, got to keep them
Not
straight.
Trilo.
Trilo. Just remember being bounced into trees.
Okay, so
The boat
if
was
you guys come up
traveling
with
along.
other stuff that you want to have done during this sojourn, we can discuss it off camera.
Okay.
The boys do a little business if they need to, and then everybody gets onto this warship and sets
I feel like
sail.
it's just gonna roll over as soon as it heads out into the harbor.
Let's roll to see if it just rolls over as soon as it sets out into the harbor. No, it's all right.
Okay. What would it have had? What would you have had to roll for that time?
It would have had to critically fail.
Gotcha.
It would have been exciting.
Warships are always 5% away from catastrophically sinking.
Every single warship, every day. If it rolls a 1 on a D20, just goes straight to the bottom.
Why you never see warships last more than a month.
Never lasts more than 2 or 3 weeks. So, do we want to do our break here and come back
Sounds good to me.
and go to the other side of the cloudy sea for the second half of the episode?
Heck yeah.
All right. So we will be back at 8:54 after a 10-minute break, where are going to zip over away from this side of the story to the other side of the cloudy sea. Also, Fennetir and Karaok, go ahead and level up your characters before you play again. Good job. You have reached a milestone having defeated that dungeon and done what you did.
Get ready for some real D&D.
That paladin's head that I ate was
Tasty.
very potent.
It was very potent.
Very potent.
Had a lot of EXP in it.
Yeah.
And we're out.
Some
Welcome back to this episode of... What's this season called?
The King.
Two.
Cloudy Sea.
Of the Starfall Collective, King of the Cloudy Sea. We have just completed a wonderful plot arc in the east of the sea after our party split on me a million episodes ago. And having accomplished some exemplary dungeoneering over there in the swamps eternal, the camera lifts off of an elven cloud ship, taking off, bearing a strange coalition of different races set to support the beleaguered Aarakocra in Air Mountain, and lifts off over the clouds. Camera zips over quickly to the west, to the place where the clouds start to thin. You start to see gaps underneath the black sky below, with stars streaming by below the world. Through the gaps in the clouds and the trees, just before we reach that Swiss cheese region known as beyond the ragged edge, we see a small speck on the clouds. And zooming in on it, we see a ship, the Fujin. And aboard the Fujin, the first mate, now the currently, for the briefest time of times, possibly, the captain, Barkus. He is working on his new org chart, certain that the rescue expedition that he sent out to recover the bodies, which never happens on the Cloudy Sea, of those who were killed in the fight with the great Kraken, the great silver squid, Enma. However, they return. The sailors look at the boat coming back, the only one of the Fujin's boats still in one piece after that vicious brawl with the giant Kraken. And there are more elves aboard than they expected. They see Trilo and Weatherin. They don't see Malmer. What happened to Malmer? But oh my goodness, is that Goryo that I see? Is that the captain? They start shouting, "It's the captain! They found the captain!" Now, Josh, you narrated how Malmer's illusion power as a
Warlock.
is very convincing, and you've even put like holes in the clothes from the acid in the Kraken's belly, because everybody saw Goryo get swallowed. Everybody saw his right hand man, this dark elf harpooner, also vanish into the maw after letting off an epic lightning blast right at the beak of the monster. They knew a last-ditch effort was being made to save Goryo, and it seemed to have failed as the squid pulled itself off away from the stricken crew, defeated and scattered across the forest. But he must have survived, because there he is before us. And some of the crew genuinely celebrates, but some of the crew, they're ambivalent, I would say. What is Goryo going to do, having met with the Kraken, which was the object of his insane vengeance quest, and failing to kill it and surviving.
Or did he fail to kill it?
Or did he?
Ooh.
So the boat comes up to the side, or the boat is drawing closer and closer to the side of the Fujin. Now, the last thing we narrated was where Malmer, you got a sort of mental, emotional, magical ping, bing, from what you recognized peering at you through the foliage and the mist as the eye of one of the what's wrong with me? I can't think of the names of things tonight.
Penguin.
Yep.
The Nothic.
The Nothic. There is a Nothic that has asked you through some sort of magic that taps into your memory so that it almost feels like deja vu. When it presents itself, it sounds just like Ferraria in your mind and asks you for help. And it's apparent that it has been following the boat. How it's able to follow the boat through the cloudy sea must take a huge amount of effort. How long it can keep it up? But the Fujin is drawing closer and closer. Weatherin is aboard. Second mate Sarah is aboard as well. She's nominally in charge. And Trilo, one of Dwight's characters, the idiot,
Hey!
as well as
Hey!
Malmer, who is disguised as Gorio, as well as another elf, a sailor who had been clinging to the trees for a while after having been thrown overboard during the battle with the Silver Squid, who you rescued.
As they draw closer, Gorio walks, takes a step. He doesn't have to walk very far. It's a small boat, but steps over towards Finnetir, lays a hand on his shoulder.
Venator's not there.
Watherin. I'm sorry. Puts a hand on Watherin in front of the others and says,
I will honor you, for you came back for me. You showed great loyalty to your captain, and you shall be rewarded. Stay by my side, lad.
And Watherin, keeping some consistency of his personal dislike for the whole drow, evil people business, but also keeping his word to the captain of the ship, says, "Aye, sir. I was glad to do my duty."
And did it, you did. For only one other came for me. The dogs. The cowards!
and Mal kind of looks to see if anybody else flinches when he makes this display of anger.
Sarah's too tired.
That's fair. Oh, that's right. I forgot
Hey, I was
Sarah's
there.
on board. What's that?
Hey, I was there.
Gorio just gives him a withering look and looks away.
Weatherin knows that this is a trick, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Mal and Weatherin had to
You're
go through a
conspiring.
whole charade to deceive the
Make
others who
sure
were out of eyesight.
Trilo didn't know.
For our listeners who haven't heard in a while, the agreement was Weatherin was willing to go along with this and accomplish whatever Malmer's purposes are, help him with those, on the condition that it's a highest priority to get to Air Mountain. That's Weatherin's interest. Get to Air Mountain. We did that exchange while
Trilo,
Trilo
who was overboard.
was far overboard, hanging by a rope, ostensibly looking for survivors and stuff. So he came back up, and the story was that we found Gorio, but that Malmer had attempted some kind of mutinous act, and I ended up having to fight Malmer and push him over the edge into the abyss. So Malmer is no more, but Gorio is rescued.
The only weak spot in the story, no one would ever believe that Mao was defeated so easily.
You're drawing closer and closer to the ship. You begin to see the outline of Barkis at the edge, looking down, and Captain, is it really you?
Hi. We're coming aboard.
Sailors, bring that boat up. They use the crane or whatever the usual means are for hauling the boat up. And you find yourself surrounded by sailors. Some of them approach you, but not too close.
Yeah, Mao also used his minor illusion to smell like the guts of a giant kraken. He's familiar with the smells of their digestive tracts. He's opened up several on deck. So,
what is Malmer's spell save DC?
16.
Okay. Barkis is stunned. In all my years aboard the Cloudy Sea, never have I seen someone survive such a thing. This is extraordinary. But I suppose just what I would expect from such an extraordinary captain. I'm glad you survived, sir. Is there... I suppose you need rest.
Aye, indeed. I'll not mince words. It is no small thing to pass through the gullet of a kraken and come out the other side. I'll need a few days to regain my strength. In the meantime, though, I would have words with my executive officers and you, lad.
He looks over at Watherin.
To my quarters.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Should I take care of the ship, the boat?
There are other sailors to take care of matters as that. Come with me.
I'll take care of it.
Aye, sir.
Trilo goes to take care of it.
Hopefully we still have a ship at the end of that. A boat at the end of that.
So this is going to be... I'm forgetting the name of another one of my invented characters. Here we go.
LaFonda.
No. This is going to be Barkis and Sarah and Weatherin and Kyoko.
Sorry,
Actually, Barkis and... Sorry.
Josh is making a mistake that Mal/Gorio would not have made. I forgot to mention something. We've got a huge, priceless amount of levy tied to a rope.
Right.
So he says,
First things first. Add it to the booty.
The sailors sort of look at it kind of amazed, like it's a king's ransom.
yeah.
It's more wealth than any of them have seen in one place ever, even if they had like visited the capital and seen like, some famous person. This is nuts. They eagerly go and they stow it in the usual way, which for levy lumps of this size is actually quite different from the usual levy lumps.
From a crack.
These are like levy gems that you would actually be sort of sticking all in the same place so that their fields all overlap, and then sort of allowing to drift behind the ship so that it does not envelop the entire ship in anti-gravity. Because
and their eagerness is because they want to take great care of it because they get a commission, basically a
Yeah.
slice.
yeah, the whole principle of the voyage is like the old whaling voyages out of Nantucket,
Sure.
where you sign on and your pay is a certain percentage of the overall haul.
Right.
So they're very, very eager to get this stored away properly, which is quickly done.
Right.
Now, Malmer, you actually have not been in the captain's cabin except for maybe looking through the door once or twice. You wouldn't have been invited in, I believe.
I did go in one time.
Okay. Yeah. This is your first time getting any sort of a real look at it.
Right.
So what you see is it's fairly, actually pretty rustic for a captain's cabin. Like all captain's cabins, it does have one of the great luxuries aboard ship, which is that it is living quarters that are outside of the ship's main levee field. So he has an actual bed. This is the only bed on the entire ship. Everybody else sleeps in weird hammocks where, like, you just sort of float there. They're not even hammocks. You just sort of tie yourself to the wall, wrap yourself in a blanket, and go to sleep. Just floating there like an astronaut, basically. But he has the benefit of having quarters that are specifically located in exactly the place where part of his quarters are within the field, part of his quarters are without the field, so that he can sleep like a normal person. You also see a table. The underneath of the table is weightless, but the top of the table is just tall enough so that you can place things on it and they'll stay. There is a pair of hooks, little tiny hooks, above the headboard of the bed, and resting on those two hooks is a very thin gray wand. There's a chest at the foot of the bed as well.
Okay. Gorio has Mal's glaive, and he's kind of walking with it in his left hand, kind of using it as not quite a cane. He's not laying it on quite that thick, but he's just kind of using it as a walking stick and being very mindful to not treat it with the familiarity that Mal would have treated it. But he waves the other senior officers in and beckons to Watherin to close the door.
Watherin does so and takes a sort of wallflower position, knowing that he's ostensibly in a place where he's not usually present or doesn't belong.
And he looks at Barkus and Sarah, and is there a third mate who's in there as well? How far down the
Kyoko.
chain of... What? Kyoko, yeah.
Kyoko, yeah.
And he looks at them and he says,
I'll not mince words with you. It is a hell of a thing to go through the belly of a kraken. I only just barely cut my way out, and thank the heavens the kraken was in a mood for escape. For when I cut myself out, he didn't turn around and come back and gobble me back up again. I would not have been able to do it were it not for... I can only assume my drow first man who came. I sensed the electricity of the coursing through the flesh of the beast. But I'm concerned.
we've brought back a greater haul than possibly any Kraken ship has ever brought back in the history. I'm no fool. My eyes are open. I know there's been scuttlebutt of mutiny. There's been a faction aboard. And I'm concerned. And he looks up. The drow I brought with me. I am not so sure I'll be able to keep them under my boot with this much wealth and a weakening of my state. We need to act early and decisively. And though it pains me to turn on my compatriots, my first loyalty and duty is to this ship, to all of you, and to fulfill the contract we set out under. Fortunately, even my share will be enough to mount a second expedition to go back after that beast, and that I will. But our first job is to keep our throats from being slit tonight. So here's what we're gonna do. And he basically, goes through a plan with with Watherin and the leadership to that night while the drow are asleep to take them out. So yeah.
Sarah says, "I'm sorry, sir. We're going to murder them?"
Murder's a strong word. And it's exactly the word I mean. Yes, we're going to murder them before they can murder us. Because here's what's going to happen if we don't. Those drow are going to kill as many of us as it takes to maim the ship, and then they're going to take that prize and they're going to make off with it. Now, I was able to keep them in check. I brought them on under myself. They're under my authority. They're my responsibility. And I'm doing what needs to be done. Now, if you don't have the stomach for that, I can understand. But you'll say whatever prayers you need to say to whatever God you believe in after it's done. Because if we don't, this ship ain't going to survive back to port. You hear me?
Oh. Yes, Captain. Barkus has the gall to say, "Captain, mayn't we simply strand them, put them off the boat? We remove ourselves from danger in that way, and
there are assets in play in the cloudy sea that you are not aware of, lad, and that I am. To put them off this boat would only be to put them in chase of us and give them a damn good fighting chance of sneaking back aboard and slitting our throats. You don't know these dogs like I do. There's a reason why I brought them for this hunt. You put them on a scent, and there ain't much in heaven or hell can set them off it."
Yes, Captain.
I myself will take full responsibility for the deed. None of you shall have any responsibility in it.
Aye, Captain.
Now, Watherin, I want you to guard that levy. Keep your eye on it. I'm putting you in charge of maintaining watch on that. And I say that not to take any responsibility away from you three, but because I need your eyes on that crew. And I need you to clandestinely, quietly, without a leak, get the 10 best men with a sword, men who will follow an order, not balk, not back down, to accomplish this tonight.
Aye, sir. I'll defend the levy with my life. And I suppose they all are keenly aware that Watherin is a defensive paladin, so he's a good defender of things.
Right. Now, I need a spell to rest myself and prepare for what must be done tonight.
Barkus, as the others leave, I don't know what Weatherin does, but Barkus is going to stay until everybody else is gone.
Josh, was the way in which you said that an immediate dismissal?
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
you-
That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Yep.
then Wathering goes and sets up in front. He's gonna plan to sleep there, or if there's sleep to be had.
Captain, may I suggest,
is this
If we-
Barkus?
this is Barkus, if we must, triple, quadruple grog rations tonight?
Indeed. Make sure that you have your men. Take it easy, but drink. Aye. All right.
Captain.
He followed. He says, "Assemble the men on deck. In a moment, I'll step out and announce the. Or, I leave it to you. You celebrate. You announce the celebration. We do indeed have an incredible fortune on board, and we'll all be rich men. Congratulations!" And he claps him on the shoulder.
Thank you, Captain. If you don't mind, what happened to this Malmer? You repeat the story.
Yeah, I tell him I tell him why I've shown favor to Watherin because he overcame Mal, who was trying to commit mutiny. Yeah,
I heard of that floating stone temple. That must be where you got this levy from.
indeed it is. All
What
the
do
more.
you think is the nature of that
Hey,
place?
What's that?
Quick interjection, just to remind anybody who's listening. We actually found this floating off the edge of the cloudy sea. May have been from the temple. I'm not saying it wasn't. I don't remember that. But it was in an excursion out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Anyway, go on.
saw the Watherin conveyed to Gorio that they saw a cloud giant and there was somebody else, right? There and the dragon, right? The cloud giant and the dragon attacking the temple, and they saw the Nothics firing off arcane, spells and stuff, trying to defend.
That's right.
And it
The
was
temple destroyed.
and Enma as well.
Oh, that's right,
That's
and
right.
Inma, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. All right.
And the dragon was a black dragon.
Mm-hmm.
It was not on the cloud. It was not on the giant side.
Right.
It wasn't a cloud giant. But anyway,
A giant.
there's a certain latitude on getting these things mixed up a little
Sure.
bit. It was one.
There
of the
was a
giants.
giant on a massive stone flotilla thing, some sort of stone, cloud stone. So, yeah.
So Barkus has a look in his eye like, might there be more of this levy where you found it?
We
Shouldn't we get it now?
got the better portion of it, but it's true. There, even with all the wealth we have, there is still a bit more to be had.
We'll
Perhaps-
return.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they'd be able to afford to return on their own and not give any to the
Yeah.
investors,
Yeah.
the financiers.
Yes, Captain. Might not be any necessity for the inclusion of Mr. Yama.
Indeed.
Subsequent voyages.
Indeed. I've thought ahead to this. We'll have enough money for our own ship. Would it be
Be sure to
worthwhile?
mark the place well on the map.
Oh, it's marked, lad. Don't you worry about that. Believe you me, we'll be hiring a good few Arakokra to perform that next mission.
Yes, sir. Well, rest well. And he leaves, closes
Yeah.
the door. The
Mal sits down on plunks down on the bed and fights off a panic attack.
Yeah. Is there anything that you?
Yeah,
you
Mal
do
picks up the wand and holds it. And do I need to make an Arcana check, or after a minute or so, does it reveal its nature to me?
You can attune to it
Yeah.
over the next like 2 hours or whatever it is.
Okay, I've got time for that.
It is.
While I'm holding it and stuff, I will look in the chest at the foot of the bed.
It's locked.
Okay. Damn. Let's see here. I guess he's going to start looking around for a key, maybe like checking the drawers and stuff. Can I make a search check, or what would that be? A investigation or
I
perception?
mean, yeah, sure. You can go ahead and make an investigation check.
Okay. All right, 17.
You don't find any key.
Okay.
The wand is a wand of binding.
Okay. Wand of binding. All right.
Back on the deck of the ship, Barkus is passing out huge amounts of grog, and he doesn't, well, how smart is he? He doesn't do it himself, but he asks Kyoko to try extra hard to include the dark elves. Make sure that the flagon comes to them as well. Weathering, as the flagon goes round and the drinking is happening and the crew is celebrating, you're with them, and there is a slim sailor with a black goatee who comes up to you, and this is Aku. He asks you.
I don't think I've encountered him before. Some of the others have.
You haven't.
I did. He got me a secret experience point.
He yeah, you haven't worked closely with him. You certainly haven't. I think he tried to ask you something at one point and you sort of cold shouldered him. But
yeah, I recall that.
He comes to you and he says, were you there with what happened with Malmer? The rumors are he tried to kill the captain.
He definitely had some ill intent.
And you fought him. And he's dead.
And I struggled. I don't know what exactly his fate is.
Nice.
Weatherin is fairly tight-lipped.
Yeah. Roll me a
Now, I'd like to point out, Finnetir has not told even a half truth yet.
Weatherin. It's
Weatherin. Do I keep saying Finnetir? I'm sorry.
Roll me a straight up charisma check.
Okay. All right. Sorry, is this
just
this is not a charisma.
Not a saving throw. Just roll and add your charisma modifier.
11.
Okay. I mean, he didn't roll that well. He says, "That's tragic. I suppose he was a little crazy in the end."
To be frank, there's no love lost between us. But it's a tragedy when anyone dies.
Interesting. And he strokes his goatee and goes off sipping daintily at his grog
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and schmoozing with the rest of the sailors. The Dark Elves do drink. Barkus does. Weatherin, you can see Barkus going to some of his closest friends. Kalerk is among them.
The half orc.
The half orc is dead.
Oh, that's right. The half orc harpooner beefed it.
She was a full orc.
Oh, the orc. Yeah.
Gratu.
Watherin also has a stein, I guess, but feigns drinking and really is, maybe a few sips here and there.
But most of it goes behind you.
Something like that.
Onto the deck.
A little zombie land move.
Sure.
Nope, one and done. How we say.
So these folks are performing a similar move to Weatherin. Or they're drinking one glass of grog and pretending with the rest, or letting the flagon pass them by. And so the day goes on.
And Watherin doesn't move more than 20 feet from where the guard point he's established.
Yeah, this is going to be probably at the base of the mast, or maybe
Okay.
Yeah, probably at the base of the mast, so you can keep an eye on the crow's nest, which would be like the place you would have to get to steal the levy. You would climb up to the crow's
they're
nest.
like tied with a rope to the top of the crow's nest.
Yeah, so it's sort of
so
visible to everybody, and also not in the way.
So Watherin is basically just he's stationing himself at the party as leaning against the mast.
Yeah, you are in weightlessness, but
Okay.
the skins are designed to allow you to drink, and there are handholds and things that it's very normal.
Sure. Okay.
Some of the sailors begin to dance. They're doing a happy jig, and then somebody reminds them of Gratu, that they're and a couple of other sailors that didn't make it through the battle, and becomes a little more somber, a little more like awake for a little while. They tell some stories of how strong and fierce Gratu was. Somebody asks, did anybody know what clan she was from? Is there any way we can... Do you think there's anybody in Three Ways who would be able to tell her family how bravely she died? I know orcs value that sort of thing. And nobody seems to know, but a few of the sailors say that they'll ask around when you get back to port. They'll remember her. They'll be sure that she isn't forgotten. Night begins to fall. Kyoko normally would be on watch at this time. Being in on the conspiracy, she has to roll for this. So she tells her crew, her sailors who would normally be doing chores and sitting in the crow's nest watching, she relieves them, telling them that some of Barkus's crew are going to take their place. Go ahead, go to sleep. You've earned it. It's been a rough day. I've got so-and-so coming to take your spot. So they go. And for the first time in the entire voyage, everybody is resting, except for those who were handpicked. Weatherin, are you taking part in this?
I'm staying at the...
Your orders were to continue to guard it. And Captain Gorio, are you staying in your cabin?
Oh no, Gorio's gonna go get Watherin at the right time, and Gorio and Watherin are gonna help. He doesn't want to leave this to chance. So everybody else should be asleep. So
Except for everyone on watch.
right. I'm trying to
Kyoko-
think. I think maybe he might put Sarah. He might have since Sarah is probably the least competent fighter of all of them. I've just never gotten the fightery vibe from her. Right? Is that a fair assessment?
She's pretty tough, but her talents are more administrative.
I was going to say that's I didn't. It's not a gender thing. It's just I've never gotten the
She's
I'm a
not
fighter.
Gratuit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
who's doing the heavy lifting in this engagement?
Oh, I mean, it's everybody. This is like, Mal is really hoping for a execution of Caesar type thing. Whole lot of knives getting in there real quick. He doesn't want to lose a lot of people to this fight. That's why he's sending in an overwhelming force of fighters.
There are 5 dark elves.
There were 6, right?
There were 6.
Okay.
1 full boat. One of them was apparently eaten by the silver squid.
We've already geeked the caster.
I'm asking, who should I bless?
Oh, yeah, probably Mal.
3 creatures, so
I mean, probably, yeah, Mal is going to take part in it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
right before it's time, it lasts for 1
Yeah.
minute. So right before it's time, I'm going to discreetly bless 3 of someone.
okay, yeah, there are so it's you two and Barkus and 2 other sailors.
I mean, you, me, and Barkus are probably the 3 most competent fighters, right?
Works for me.
Okay, cool. All right.
So the 5 of
Gives
you
a D4 on your attacks.
Yeah.
just to remind you.
so this is something that you are going to narrate for me how you're going to do this, and I'll tell you what to roll.
So,
I'll explain the environment. So
yeah, I was going to say.
The sailors sleep below decks, and all of them but a few who are in on the conspiracy are currently sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Kyoko, who is normally in charge of keeping watch overnight with her crew, has sent them to bed. So she's the one who is up on deck watching, but really everyone is resting. Everyone's sleeping. So there are a few sailors who are sort of awake and whittling things or writing letters or doing whatever in their bunks. Below decks, there are a couple of candles lit, but mostly it is quiet. Mostly people are sleeping. They have the sides of the hold are sort of filled with blanket wrapped sailors who have strapped themselves to the wall. This entire area is weightless. So you're astronauting along handholds and things and grids of ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Trilo, you're probably asleep.
Probably.
Oh, what? We didn't ask Trilo to help? I'm just kidding.
Why wouldn't you invite me?
The Dark Elves do have their own separate place where they eat their weird bugs that they've brought aboard, sort of apart from the other sailors. None of the other sailors are very chummy with them or want to be near them. So there is a good, it's a crowded hold, but the 5 Dark Elves all have one little spot. I'm going to say on the starboard side towards the fore, near the hole that you poop through in the front of the ship, but off to the right. So they're sort of against the wall there, and the other sailors are maybe give them like a 5-foot demilitarized zone.
Okay. All
But
right.
there are some who are awake, maybe 2 or 3, but almost all are asleep by the time that you get down there.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I think Mal is going to kind of stick his head in as Gorio, and just kind of very nonchalantly survey and see if all the drow are asleep.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Or they seem to be. They're all rolled up in blankets and strapped in.
All right. Mal leans back in and um, says, "All right, we'll all walk in perfectly matter of fact. You all walk as quietly as you can, but make it look like you're just being respectful. If any of them pop up, I'll give them the stay in your bunks, just moving some inventory. And once we get around them, we'll lay into them." All right, so I guess they're all gonna just be quiet checks, stealth checks to not wake them up and try to get inside. Yep.
And before we start, Watherin blesses the 3
Mm-hmm.
of us.
He pulls out his wand and says, "I may be physically weakened, but I won't be of no use." And he's
Okay.
also got Mal's glaive. He says, "I like the feel of this. I'll be using it for the reach." All right. Yeah. So do we need to make stealth checks to get in quietly?
Go ahead and make your stealth checks.
Nice. 18. Also, I would know this. Which one of the 5 remaining is one of them a particularly more competent fighter? Like there was
Yeah,
one that was the caster.
yeah. There's a lady who seemed to sort of step up as their leader
Okay.
after the harpooner was killed.
And what kind of weapon does she fight with?
They all have short swords.
And is that those are not finesse weapons, those are strength-based weapons.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are poisoned.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but you have this idea that drow skullduggery involves blades tipped with poison.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Hey, what does versatile on a weapon do?
Means you can use it with one hand or with 2. So it'll say it has this much damage, this much attack as a one hand versus 2.
Okay. All right. So we all get in place.
Weatherin, what was your stealth check?
21.
Okay.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Barkus makes a little noise coming down into the hold, having rolled a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sailors who's awake looks at him and says, "First mate, what are you doing up? Can I do anything for you?" And Barkus looks to you, Gorio.
Gorio just says, "Stay in your bed, lad. Just making rounds. A lot of wealth on board, just making sure the ship's settled. Go back to sleep."
Aye, Captain. The sailor says, "Aye, Captain," and goes back to what he was doing. Just like writing a letter by candlelight.
All right. And he makes eye contact and says, "Truly, stay in your bed." And he turns and he takes the glaive and he gives the motion to all the other men, and they all just stab at the same time.
Okay.
He's gonna go ahead.
D&D does not give us rules for killing defenseless sleeping people. It's sort of left to the dungeon master to determine how something like this goes. But
Yeah.
I think that in
The
this
fact that they're
situation,
outnumbered 2-1 with 2 player characters against them warrants a execution.
I think killing sleeping people who you are in a position of authority over and who you have given a lot of alcohol is not something that you have to roll for.
Okay.
So
you
real quick,
can just cut their throats
Okay.
if you want. Or you can stab them like Caesar in the belly and
No,
stuff.
he's not going for gore. What were you saying, Sir Robert?
Nazgul in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the Agnor. Gorio walks over to the man who's writing a letter and who's probably extremely scared and everything, and he puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Terrible thing. Mutineers, every last one of them. Still, I know it's a terrible thing to have to sleep in a room where men died. If you want to relocate for the night, I'll understand. Sorry you had to see that, lad. You're a good man. Thanks for keeping your steel."
There's not really a place to relocate to. This is the hold of the ship. It's one big space.
All right. Yeah.
But he can like go up on the deck.
Yeah.
Right.
Gorio turns and holds up in his hand and gives that speech like, "Terrible thing to have to see men, but they were mutineers, every last one of them. It was either this or a long drawn out fight, and I feared losing some of you good men, and I want you to come home to be wealthy."
Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Sure. That's a 12 plus 1 plus... Does bless apply to that?
It's saving throws.
Attack.
Okay, so that's 12 plus...
Is your bless different?
17. So 17.
I'm looking.
This
The number rolled for attack or save throw.
So 17.
Most of the sailors do not even wake up. They don't hear you. They're sleeping. But the 3 that are awake look at you with wide eyes and look at each other and look at you and sort of smile and nod.
No ticket.
Like,
That's right.
like, I am very loyal, Captain. We are all very loyal here, and we believe that you are. This is all for the good of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say that, but
Right.
they are looking as
They're saying it even without saying it.
they're looking as very, very, very non-threatening as possible. So I'm supposing that you bundle these bodies up and toss them over the edge.
Yeah, they just use the hammocks as body bags, and he has the men strip search them and remove their belongings and put them into a bag, and he takes all of that stuff back to his room. But so you tell me what they had on them.
They had short swords, vials of poison, various letters and journals written in a script, unless you read Dark Elven or Undercommon. Not Dark Elven, it's called Undercommon. If you read Undercommon, you'll be able to read it, otherwise not.
I don't know if Mal knows this, but Watherin knows Undercommon.
Yeah, because of the previous Nothic.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's what the Nothics have been using to communicate, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you loot them.
Yeah.
You've got
any
you've
gold?
Got
Do they have
a little bit.
Okay.
Not much. They don't have magical items.
That's fine.
They've got pretty normal sailor stuff, except for the skullduggery equipment.
Right.
Actually, you do find a set of lockpicks on one of them,
Good.
and things like you can put into your inventory one extremely thin stiletto dagger that you could,
Okay.
for instance, keep under your clothes and nobody would know it was there. You also have a boot with a special little button that makes a blade pop out the front, spring-loaded blade. And all of these can be tipped with various poisons.
Right.
There are vials of poison as well. So all that stuff
Okay.
you can put in your inventory if you want it. It's just general thief, assassin. They're dirty fighters.
Yep.
You
Okay.
can tell from looking at this.
Sure.
They were.
All right. Any other foul deeds to accomplish this night? Or
I think that's about enough murder hoboing for one night.
so
Waither intends to go back to his watch.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon
Yeah.
as
you're gonna leave Watherin watching all night?
No, Watherin has authority. Goryo gave authority to Watherin to figure out who is trustworthy to put on watch as well. To relief.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Not Aku. You do not trust him. But once the deed is done, Kyoko picks some other sailors, not from her crew, and wakes them and says, "Hey, sorry about this change of plans. I know you usually aren't on watch at this time, but I had to send some of my crew drank a little too much. Don't say anything to anybody. I'm trying to be cool about it, but like a couple of them aren't able to watch right now, but I think you can handle it. So can you come up on watch?" So the ones who are watching now think that they were watching all night.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who are not watching don't know that there was any gap during the watch. She handled it pretty slickly so that everybody's stories would kind of fit together. Unless you were keeping time with a stopwatch,
Mm-hmm.
or unless you're one of those 3 sailors who were awake and saw the deed being done,
Right.
there would be no evidence.
Right.
Except for some bodies that fell through the trees and out to the bottom of the world forever. And that is where we are going to end tonight's episode of the Starfall Collective. Thank you for joining us.
And on that bloody bombshell.
Yeah, that the Godfather scene.
Mm.
Should
We
have been
are.
interleaving it with something else.
It is quite possible that next week we might be able to have an in-person episode. I don't know. In these trying times, it can be difficult to put something like that together. We all live in
And all our
different
fans will
countries.
be there too.
Every last fan, all of our listeners, will be present, and it's Poppy, Dwight's dog. But yeah, maybe perhaps join us next week for a special episode, or maybe
A very special
nothing
episode.
next week. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll all be too tired.
I have an immunity to COVID, but it's psychosomatic.
And immunity.
What, you can have a psychosomatic illness. Why?
I have a pneumo somatic immunity to it. So.
All right.
I just
Spread out.
okay. Thank you very much for joining us.
We weren't going to say COVID because we'll get banned from YouTube.
Oh, really?
Oh, will we get banned from YouTube for saying COVID?
Let me finish my sentence. I was saying that my friend Covidalia. I know.
The robots know
You
that that's
have-
what you meant,
An immunity to your
friend.
I do.
yeah, makes sense.
She's very
Mhm,
viral.
mhm, right.
AI is not that good.
Great. So
Oh,
I have
that's
to say the thing. Failure is
Oh
beautiful.
yeah.
Unless you're a drow.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't like it.
there you go.
Not a beautiful
He doesn't
failure
have
on
an
their part.
opinion one way or the other.
That's true.
All right. Matt, tell us when you want to be out, and we'll be out.
That's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Tune in this same time next week for another exciting episode. And remember, failure is beautiful.